Happy New Year, everyone. This is the first video I'm making for 2021, and I thought it was important to check in and to get us back on track again. But last year, it was a very tough, strange, eye-opening year for everyone, and we can still feel the effects today. So with that, I hope everyone is safe. And now that is the new year, it's still January. This is a good opportunity for us to regroup, to recharge, and then again look at the crisis that we're still facing with a different lens. So with every crisis that we go through, I just find that there's opportunities for us in this crisis. And regarding the whole COVID pandemic, I think one of the things that it exposed to us was the timeless teaching of impermanence. And we see before this, everyone was just pursuing outside world, physical world things, our business, our physical body, all those things outside. And again, that's not a bad thing. No one is suggesting you not to do that. But I think one of the things it exposed was that we were not balanced. Balance means that the outside world is one part of it, but another part is that we have an inside world, and we also need to develop that also. Many of the people now, through the breakdown of what's happening in the world, are asking bigger questions, are asking deeper questions, and they want to go inside, and they're realizing, my life doesn't have meaning and purpose. What am I working so hard for? Everything can be gone at an instant. So they're wanting to go deeper. But then how do I go deeper? How do I develop a spiritual practice? So today, that's what I wanted to talk about, to give you 5 tips that I thought would be helpful for anyone trying to develop this spiritual practice. So in no particular order, let's begin. Having a community for me is very key and critical, because as human beings, we're just social creatures. So we need that interaction. We need that support. We need to have a sense of belonging. So when we wake up in the morning, it's not just we're floating around, but that no, when I wake up in the morning, I'm part of something. I belong to something. I contribute to something, and I matter. I mean something, and I'm integrating. So you're not just your own thing. When you find this environment for you, again, I'm not even talking about just Buddhists, but for Christianity, for Muslims, and even outside of religion, we just need a community where we have a group with the same goals. We have resources in this community that can share the wisdom with you to help to guide you. Having a community also makes us feel like we belong, and where we develop this connectedness to chat with someone else, to ask questions, to relate, to be seen, to be witnessed by someone else is very important. And the nice part of where we are now is that social media is available to us. So we can develop a community through Zoom, we can do Facebook, and we can do all these different platforms that allow us to interact and connect. In the monk life, for the goal that I'm pursuing, my community is the Sangha. I have my brother monks, I have my teaching monks, we have the lay supporters, we have the people who support us when we go out on alms round. So this is our community. And inside here, I feel like we have the same goals. I have the resources that is offered. I have the wisdom that is being taught down for many generations. And this is all accessible here because, like I said, we're all going to the same place. We all have the same goal, and it's on the same path, and I belong. Many people then will ask, well, I don't have that. Well, again, same thing. Even though you're in the lay life, you can still find that. In my lay life, I was living in San Diego at the time, and I wanted to develop a spiritual practice. And I couldn't find anything at that time except for a local temple in Azusa. And at that time, keep in mind, that was about a 3-hour drive each way. But it was important for me because I just needed that support. I needed that belonging. I needed that shared experience with someone who can understand where I'm going. Yeah, so that was my sense of community as a layperson. So another question that people will ask is, well, how do I know if this community is the right one for me, or if this temple or this church? Well, you might not know, and that's okay. But go in there and test it out and try it, participate in the activities, and you'll know by yourself. And maybe this specific community might not be for you, and it's okay. And you might then try another one, and it might be the perfect fit. And I just find that when you are part of a community, the doors just open. Someone will suggest a different way of looking at things. Someone will suggest a new book. Someone will introduce you to a new experience or activity that is available to you, or an event that you can be part of. And it just keeps going, and it then takes your practice to a new level. And I just feel like the universe, God, anything you want to call it, I feel like it just will pull you, it will attract you, and it will take you to the next level. But first, get a community. Coming and new lens looking at it is as a therapist. So many of you know, prior to becoming a monk, I was working as a licensed therapist and working the mental health field for the past decade. And one of the things that is a common problem that people experience is like depression and loneliness, and they don't feel connected. Yeah, because this is the piece that we're missing. Whether it's a spiritual community, whether it's a community with your hobbies or a business, but we all are social creatures and we need a sense of belonging and connectedness. So make sure you can find different communities, but in this case, make sure you also develop a spiritual community where you can get quiet and be part of something. On this spiritual path, you need a teacher. And for me, I feel like the luckiest person in the world, because the teachers I have in the monastery, the many different meditation teachers, I just feel so lucky, just because the experience that they had prior to me being here. Some of them are 10 years in this experience. Some of them are 20, some of them are 30, some of them are 40, but it's so critical because they pass this wisdom and this knowledge to me. And because they do care, they package everything that they learned and put it on a silver platter for me. And every single day I get to hear amazing stories, and they share with me different perspective of how to look at things. They share to me and point out my flaws. They teach me what are good characters and good qualities. They teach me a path of what am I doing, where am I going? And again, a very neutral lens to guide me. But I feel like having a spiritual teacher is critical because it just saves you a lot of time. And many people also do not have the teachers, and they're like, how do I find the teachers? Well, the nice thing about this right now is that we have so many resources. You can find teachers through books. There are YouTube videos like this. There are podcasts. And having so much resource, you can learn that wisdom the same way. And like I said before, where I think just start somewhere. Learn from people who came before you, and it will spark something inside of you, and it will lead you to the next level. And one of the things that I find is that when you start to do your work, the old saying keeps coming up, and they said when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I find for me that has been the case. The more I develop my practice, the more I just do and continue to purify me and clean myself, then the next teacher just keeps coming over and over and over again for that specific moment. So just use the resource you have now, but find and utilize the people who have come before you. having a kalyanamitta, this is a spiritual friend or a virtuous friend. And in Buddhism, there's a story where one of the Buddha's disciple asked the Buddha specifically, and he said, on the spiritual path, is having a spiritual friend 50% of this path? And the Buddha said, no, it's actually 100% of this path. You need a spiritual friend. And for me, being in monkhood now for about 3 years, I can testify that this is so true. Because on this spiritual path, it's easy to fall off. It's easy to get distracted. And with us being in the robes, having 227 precepts, of course, it's easy to think of, well, maybe I want to have a relationship outside. Maybe I want a family. Maybe I want to develop a career or go to school. Again, physical world things, and it can get you off the path. But with having a friend, it's key because they get you back on. They encourage you and they support you. And with us is every single day can get mundane. And you go to morning chanting, you go to alms offering, you do your meditation, you do your chores, and then you go to evening chanting. Again, this is our schedule every single day. So then some days your mind can wander and it's like, wait, why do I want to do this? But with a spiritual friend, then they encourage you. Hey, let's go to morning chanting today. Hey, this is good for you. When you have negative thoughts and negative patterns, then a good virtuous friend will remind you of, no, why are we doing this? And what is good for you? And they will encourage you and they will support you and they will listen to you. But without my good friends on this path, I know I would not be here. So I just want to thank everyone who has supported me on this path, because it's so key and critical for me to keep going. So with that, on your own path is find friends, not just people who are cool, not just friends who are just fun to be around, but no, someone who have the same visions and goals with you and who will always point you in the right path of that is not proper. These are the things that are proper, that will help you, that will develop your inner world, that will encourage you to keep pushing through and be a friend that is needed. Not, again, a yes person who will tell you what you want to hear, but really just a person who has your best intention at heart, and then they understand the path. So what are some qualities to look for when you're talking about a virtuous friend versus just any friend? And again, this is not just, like I said, a person you're hanging out with, a person you're having fun with, but this is, in Buddhist context, is a person who knows the Dhamma, will keep you on the path of the Dhamma to be a virtuous person. So they guide you regarding morality, and they guide you to support you to continue your inner world, not just outside world, but develop and cultivate that inside world and get to know yourself better. You can be Buddhist, you can be Muslim, you can be Christian. That is not the point. The point is this road going inside is difficult. So with that, you need someone who can help to support you. It's very key and it's very critical. So make sure you find these friends who can support you on your path. Gutter guards. This is a term that I coined, and I'll be writing a book about this too because many people keep asking about it. But gutter guards for me is this analogy that I use where if you went bowling before, on the side of the bowling lane is the two things on the side that lifts up for beginners. And when you roll the ball, there's no way that it can fall off. And on this spiritual path, you need gutter guards. In the monastic life, we have that, and that is one of the key features because our schedule is very set. And again, like I said before, every morning is morning chanting, it's meditation, it's alms round, it's then doing the personal chores, it's doing the group chores, it's doing evening chanting, it's doing our confession, and then it's also doing meditation in the evening. But this gutter guard, sometimes I know in the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, we're doing this again. And it gets old. Why am I doing this again over and over? But now that I've been in the monastery longer, and I'm just so appreciative of it, because your mind on this path starts to wander and it starts to go outside. And these gutter guards bring you back here. It grounds you. So when I have a lot of work and I'm thinking about work, then how do you settle down? How do you stop? And in the monastery it doesn't matter what you're working on. It doesn't matter what's going on. In the evening, you're still going to evening chanting. So you still sit, you do your chanting, your mind starts to slow down. Then we do our meditation, and then we let everything go, and then our mind slows down even more. So every day, because it's saying, okay, come back, and it's already planted in our schedule. So we're training ourselves where, no, sit, calm down, stay here. And this is so critical on the spiritual path. And why I share that is because you need to have gutter guards for your life, especially in the outside world. If you have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then you have kids and a job, and you're developing a brand new business, then along with your hobbies and friends, then it's like, whoa, how then do I develop a spiritual path, and how do I keep it consistent? So knowing how busy and how distracting the outside world is, develop a schedule for yourself the way we do in a monastery. And you know yourself and you know your lifestyle. But some ideas that I can give you is, again, doing meditation in the morning, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, first thing when you get up. Maybe doing that before you go to sleep. Maybe developing a practice where you donate. So for me, in my lay life, after meditation, I would donate $1. I went to the bank, exchanged $100 bills into all $1 bill. And every day, I just gave. After my meditation, I made a resolution, and then I would feel good. Every 2 weeks, then for me, for years, I made it an effort to plug into my schedule with no negotiation that I would drive to the temple in Azusa. Again, many hours, but for me, planting it into this schedule kept me grounded. It didn't steer me away, and it's easy. It's easy because there's a lot of more fun things that seem so important. Everything is important, but also your spiritual practice is important. Getting grounded is important. And for anyone who is now understanding, I need to do this for myself, well, schedule it in. There's no room for that. Another thing that I did was I would do the Dhammachak chanting, and I'll share more in upcoming videos about chanting. But in my car, when I was working in Malibu, and the clients I was seeing was so difficult. So instead of just listening to the radio, I knew I have to go to work, but I also knew I need to be grounded and still inside. So how do you bridge that together? So when I was going to work, then instead of listening to the radio, I would put on the Dhammachak chanting. So powerful. And I would play it by when I left my house all the way till I got to work. After work was done, then I would play it all the way back home. That was my spiritual grounding, to make sure that I'm around pure positive energy, and also that I'm developing me as well with mindfulness. So again, going back to this, you know your life, you know what you need, and you know your schedule. So start to plug it in. If you need to go to the church or a temple, very important. If you need time to sit and get quiet, if you need to get out in nature, make sure you plug it in and keep it as a barrier. Because if you live in that kind of lifestyle that has a lot of distraction, but your practice is not consistent, I'm gonna meditate, okay, every other week for 2 days, that's not gonna go anywhere. So just take a little bit of time, schedule it every single day like a gutter guard so you will not fall off. Listen to the Dhamma, listen to the chanting, and keep going. But very important, design your schedule. Now we're in 2021, you're in charge of that. You know what you need, you know how busy your life is, so schedule it in and develop your own gutter guards. Make time to be alone or to meditate. So there's different levels because some people are still beginning their practice and meditation is still difficult for them. And it's okay, not a problem, but at least take the time to get quiet and get still, to walk in nature or even physically just being by yourself and allow everything from that day. You guys live very busy lives. So each day, just take a moment, breathe, sit by yourself, sit alone, and if better, then meditate. Close your eyes and allow just all the dirt and debris from that day to settle. Because all the interaction that you've been doing, all the thoughts and all the planning, is just like swirling around in your head. And this time alone, this meditation is saying, no, just settle down and allow all the dirt and debris to sink all the way to the bottom. Then you can breathe again. Then you can start to see more clearly and more neutrally. So every day, find that time. And now more than ever, with everything that's happening with the pandemic and the different energy that's around us, we need this now. It's not just even a want, but it's just we need it. So me speaking from the mental health lens is we see so many people coming in with anxiety and depression and so many different disorders. Yeah, because there's so much going on. Simplify your life. Take time, enjoy being by yourself, enjoy being alone, start to hear yourself again. And it's very critical. So make sure to put that into your schedule. Another reason why this time alone, this meditation is so imperative is because when you are still, when everything, your anger, your anxiety, your fears, when all that settles down, then you begin to experience wisdom. You start to cultivate wisdom. Then when you're quiet and still, then you can look at your issues more neutrally. Then you'll know what to do next. How do I solve this problem without making a story, without making another crisis? It's already difficult. So again, take the time to be still, and our master teaches us that stillness is the key to success. This is the spiritual practice. Get still, stop, slow down, and then in this stillness, the whole world will open to you. Your lens of looking at your problems or issues will become more clear, and then you can move forward even more effectively. So hopefully these things are helpful for you. If I left anything out or you have any other tips, feel free to comment here or leave your impressions below. But this is another form of online community. Use each other, support each other. It's not easy. So hopefully this year will bring you a lot of peace, will bring you a lot of good fortune. And again, from Thailand, I just want to say thank you, and we'll be on the path together.